Let's get a check now of what's happening in the world of business. And I'm joined now by Yuka Roya from the business desk. Hi there, Yuka.
Hi, Tom.
Let's begin with some new economic figures that could give a bit of a boost to President Emmanuel Macron's business credentials.
Well, France's official statistics agency, INSEE, says that the unemployment rate in the country has been steady at 7.1% since the last quarter of 2022. That's the lowest level since 1982. Youth unemployment declined slightly in the first 3 months of this year to 16.6%. That's more than 5 percentage points below pre-pandemic levels. The jobless rate stood at 9.5% when President Emmanuel Macron began his first term in office back in 2017. He pushed through labour market reforms, promising to bring it to below 7%. After weeks under government pressure to lower prices, France's food industry has agreed to reopen negotiations with retailers. The announcement came after Finance Minister Bruno Le Maire summoned representatives from producers such as Danone and Coca-Cola. Despite a drop in raw material costs in recent months, food inflation in France remains high at over 15%. The government was furious after supermarket chains and food producers agreed to an average 10% price hike in their annual supply contract negotiations back in March and threatened to impose a tax on excessive profits. Now, Argentina continues to grapple with soaring inflation, which came back up above 100% earlier this year. The skyrocketing cost of living has brought back painful memories of hyperinflation and years of economic depression in the 1990s. The government this week unveiled a new package of emergency measures, but it's unclear whether it will help local businesses survive. Inka Oyatade has more.
Argentina is grappling with one of the highest inflation rates in the world. This shoemaker's, located on the outskirts of Buenos Aires, is starting to buckle under the pressure.
From what I remember, it is the worst moment for the footwear industry aside from the economy in the 1990s. The worst ever in terms of salary, production. In terms of everything, it's the worst.
Inflation in Argentina currently stands at 109% after hitting triple digits in February, figures not seen in 3 decades. The clothing and footwear industry has been hit hardest. It saw the biggest increase in monthly inflation of all sectors in April.
We sense people want to buy, but they just don't come. To try to promote sales, we need to offer an alternative. Such as installments at 0%. You absorb the cost but get a few more sales.
The peso's drastic drop in value is making the situation more difficult for suppliers. Earlier this week, the government unveiled emergency measures to battle the onslaught of inflation. The package includes new interest rate hikes, more central bank intervention in currency markets, and fast-track deals with creditors. It's unclear whether the steps will be enough to support the ailing peso and rapidly dwindling foreign currency reserves.
Well, let's check in on the day's trading action now. And European markets ended the day on a mixed note. Germany's DAX rose 1/3 of a percentage point, with industrial giant Siemens up nearly 3% after raising its full-year profit forecast. Shares on Wall Street, meanwhile, are making gains on investor hopes that the US will avoid a first-ever default after congressional leaders said it was possible to reach a debt ceiling deal before the end of the week. The European Commission has proposed an overhaul of the EU's customs union to better respond to a surge in online shopping. The reform aims to simplify customs procedures for importers using a common EU customs data hub and to set up a new EU customs authority to beef up surveillance. E-commerce platforms selling goods from non-EU countries would also be responsible for ensuring customs duties and VAT are paid at purchase, so customers wouldn't be hit with hidden charges when their order arrives. Also, an exemption from import duty on goods valued at less than €150 would be abolished to avoid exporters deliberately undervaluing their goods. Here's the EU's Economy Commissioner speaking earlier.
Today's reform will make online platforms such as Alibaba, Amazon, Zalando, others, key actors in ensuring that goods sold online into the EU comply with all customs obligations, rather than putting the burden on the final consumer, as is currently the case. They will need to provide evidence of this through the EU Customs Data Hub.
That's all from the Business Desk for now.
Thank you very much indeed. Yuka Roya with the business news. Thank you very much.